Imagine a safe place to have candid conversations about all things business as a confident Christian woman coach and CEO. Imagine a safe place to share, connect, grow, build as you unlock what's inside you. A confident Christian woman coach and CEO to clarify your specific mission, message, mandate, mantle to market. Imagine a safe place to learn how to develop a business blueprint, lay a firm foundation with business structure, policies, procedures, service, and product development that builds the business framework and construction. Welcome to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. I am your host, Coach Doreen Lettsome Reid, certified business coach to confident Christian women coaches. Confident Woman Incubator Podcast is a platform for you, Christian women coaches that desire a safe place to unlock what's inside you, to develop a business blueprint, gain clarity of their specific mission, message, mandate, mantle to market, lay a firm foundation with business structure, policies, procedures, service, product development that builds the business framework and construction to overcome fear, shatter misconceptions, increase confidence, and profit by faith in all things business. Welcome to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. Join us each week for these candid conversations to unlock what's inside you in all things business. Well, welcome to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. I am your host, Coach Doreen Lettsome Reid, and we are here once again celebrating Unlock What's Inside You magazine release party, and we have some amazing guests with us today. These ladies have been featured in Unlock What's Inside You magazine that was released, and they are so beautiful, and they are so wonderful, and they are about all things business, and they are most definitely about advancing God's kingdom in the earth. And so I'm going to welcome these ladies to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Coach Felicia, go ahead and introduce yourself, and welcome to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast.
Thank you. As Ms. Doreen mentioned, my name is Felicia, and I'm a parenting empowerment relationship coach. My business is called Out of the Cave Coaching, and that's who I am. I'm a coach to parents for their children or their child to teach them how to effectively communicate with their children as they navigate through this world.
Oh, that's awesome. And so we just appreciate you, all the work that you're doing with parents. And I know that you live in the South Carolina area. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What area do you live in?
Right now, I'm in Nevada.
Nevada. Okay. I thought that at one time you were connected to South Carolina, but you are in Nevada. Okay. So you're doing a tremendous work there. How long have you been in business?
This is my actual first year. Last year I started. So this year made a year.
Okay. Well, congratulations on pressing forward in business as a Christian woman, a CEO and coach. So we celebrate you. And we also have our amazing other guests with us. Welcome. Go ahead and tell the world who you are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Annette J Morris. I am the owner and CEO of Goal Getter LLC. I was a therapist initially, so I was a mental health therapist that transitioned into being a mindset business coach, and I help female entrepreneurs, mainly moms, identify their God-given gifts and convert that gift to a six-figure business, utilizing and leveraging the business to support the life of their dreams and their legacies.
And you got to tell everybody that you literally traveled the world. You just got back.
I literally travel the world and love it.
Tell us where you just came from.
Actually, I just came back from Tulum about a week and a half ago. For the summer, I did a lot of traveling. So I went from Orlando. I had a speaking engagement in Orlando. I left Orlando and went to Mykonos, Greece on a spiritual retreat. Then came back from Mykonos, Greece, and went to Hawaii with my kids. And then came back from Hawaii, did a retreat in Miami, left Miami, went on another professional development retreat in Dominican Republic, and then 4 days later came back and I had another speaking engagement in Tulum. So I just was gone pretty much the whole summer.
Yeah.
So, when you say world traveler, hello.
Yes.
When you say
Yes.
world traveler, hello, this is you have to have roller skates just to get in contact with her. And I was teasing her. I said, I said, well, we've been connected for a minute, for at least 6 months. She was like, no, just 2 months. I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
You're
It's been more than 2 months. I don't know what
I've
you're
been gone
talking
for
about.
2 months, right?
You've been gone for 2 months. So what are you talking about?
Right? I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, I'm like, we was connected before the magazine,
Yes.
then the magazine, then we had to wait for it to get published, then you've been
Yes.
gone for 2 months. So
Yeah, I
hello.
wasn't thinking of that.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with you.
In 2 months.
I do not know what I'm going to do with you. It is insane. Just to keep up with you is insane. I have officially got on her calendar because she's in so many time zone. Her assistant forgot what time zone we were on, so she was supposed to be here the other week, but she's in so many time zones. She's here now, and thank God for this opportunity for us to finally meet face to face after 6 months of communicating through text. Because she does not email. Do not send emails. She does not do emails. I don't know where the emails go, but she only does text.
Yeah. So now I've hired a full-time person, and now they kind of manage the emails, because I get like 200 and 300 emails a day. So some of them, I don't know what some of them go. I don't know. But anyway, I hired somebody full-time now. So thank God for that.
Well, I knew to connect with you through text. For 6 months, I'm gonna stick with the text.
Stick with text, yeah. I definitely see the text messages.
And she does talk to me, respond. So it's very good to know that we are connected. And I do appreciate you. You have such a sweet spirit. I love your humility, the humility about you. Even though I know who you are and what you're doing, and I know that you are a high value coach to the world. You have such a humility about you and such a grace about you that you don't make people feel like, well, I'm too up here to just have a conversation.
Never.
Never. I love that. I picked that up time we started talking. It felt like it was like two sisters just cutting up, because me, I cut up. That's what I do.
Yeah. And so do I.
And then we was on the phone and we was cutting up with each other. And I was like, we just like two sisters cutting up. And so I'm excited to see what we're going to do to change the world for the glory of God. Aren't you?
Yes.
I don't think they're ready for us.
Absolutely. They better get ready, because we coming.
And then Coach Kimberly is here. Kimberly and I go way back. I don't know, 2 or 3 years. I can't remember. Yeah. But Coach Kimberly is here. She tries to keep me straight. How is that going?
Not good.
Oh my gosh. Welcome, Coach Kimberly. How are you tonight?
I am doing well. I am getting over some type of bug, but I am here, and I was rushing around. I was like, oh my God, it's getting late. Where's the link? Oh, but I'm here, and I'm glad to be here. I'm calming down after the rush, but glad to join you ladies tonight.
Hello.
Yes, and we are so glad that you stay connected through the magazine, Unlock What's Inside You magazine. What was your experience with Unlock What's Inside You magazine? What was your overall view of the spotlight, the magazine, the experience? You want to just talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So anytime we work with you, it's working with excellence. So I knew when I said yes that it was going to be great. The exposure, and for me, my favorite scripture I'm going to quote here is iron sharpens iron. So when you get amongst other ladies doing the same thing with like minds, iron is sharpening iron, and we're learning and gleaming from each other. So when you're in the company of greatness, it can only be great. So the experience was a great experience for me.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. You ladies make me great. This is why I hang around smart people, beautiful people, intelligent people, God people. It makes me look
Right.
good. It makes
Yes.
my job a lot less stressful. I can just
Yes.
lean back and rest. How about that? Because y'all make me look good. Isn't that good to know, Coach Felicia? Isn't that good to know?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
So you don't have to even, boast in yourself. You see what I'm saying? You can just lean back and relax because you are around other people that add value. And that's so
Yes.
important, especially when you're talking about building a business and brand in 90 days, understanding the principles of adding value. So, what would you like to say about that, Coach Morris? What would you like to say about adding value in the process of building your business and brand in 90 days, Coach Morris?
So one of the things I think you should always be in a position to offer value to other individuals, right? Especially based on your experience. So I've been a full-time entrepreneur now for 11 years. And naturally, I've had a bunch of encounters, right? A lot learned along this journey. And that's why I accepted the call when God called me to be a coach, because again, I feel like He allowed me to make a ton of mistakes so that people that stay connected to me and come behind me don't have to make those same mistakes, right? I could say, if you run into this wall hurt, don't run into this wall, go around that way. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like He allowed me to go through that so that I can help people to navigate and expedite their processes to it, right? So the value that I add is, in other words, don't do that because that doesn't work. I've tried that XYZ, that doesn't work. But I have tried this, and this has expedited my process, right? So adding that to my clients, I've helped them to get to 6 figures and 7 figures a whole lot quicker than I was able to get to on the journey, just by telling them what has not worked, right? So that's the value that I typically add to their lives. But I feel like even if it's not my client, if it's somebody that called me and asked me a question real quick, I'm not gonna say, well, you know what, you asked me one question, but I need you to book an hour with me. Let me just answer that question, because now I'm adding value to you to help you to do whatever it is that you're doing in business and life, professionally, personally, whatever it is. So I think that we should always be in a position looking for the opportunities to be a blessing to somebody else and add value to their lives, whether it's personally or professionally.
Now, you said a very key point right there when it comes to building a business and brand in 90 days. The
Mm-hmm.
first principle is share.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Share. A lot of confident Christian women coaches and CEOs sometimes have a problem with sharing because they're so afraid that if I give it away, then I'm not going to receive it back. Or
Mm-mm.
if I give it away, oh, I gave it for free, I was supposed to get paid. They're so worried about getting paid
Right.
that
Mm-hmm.
they're not willing to share. But if
No.
we look at the perfect business plan and
Mm-hmm.
the ultimate businessman and the principles that are already set for us in business, when we sow, we're guaranteed to reap. It
Absolutely.
doesn't become the client's responsibility, it becomes the ultimate businessman responsibility when we follow the biblical principles concerning business. So let me say that
Absolutely.
again. When you make a decision to sow, you are going to reap. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to keep that in our mindset to shatter the misconception that I can't share with no one. I can't give
Mm-hmm.
out to anyone. I have to
Mm-hmm.
hold on to it myself. So
Mm-hmm.
what would you say about that, Coach Felicia?
That's so important. And it's just awesome that you asked me that question, because I've been waiting on a couple of answers from certain people, and it's been months. And that was my first thought, is like, they don't want to help. They don't want to, like, they don't want to share or give the information. And I know it costs money. Time is money, information is money, and it's all valuable. But if you make a vow to help someone and say that you're going to share certain information, you should keep that vow. I mean, that's a biblical principle. Don't open your mouth and make a vow and you're not going to keep it. So that's really important to me, is to open your mouth and to do what you said you're going to do. And don't be afraid to share, because just like God gave it to you, He didn't give you that to hold on to. He gave you that to distribute. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really important.
Absolutely.
Right.
And one of the things I realized is, even when I share, if like I'll get on live on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever it is, and share different things, because some things I just want to share with people and help them, right? If God laid on my heart, I'm just gonna share it. But then I still get people to call me and be like, you know what? I realize that you the person that's going to help me to get to the next level, XYZ. I have no intention or desire to do this for myself. Can you do this for me? I done gave you all the information for free. All you have to do is take it and apply it, right? But one of the things I realized, even with me giving a lot of information, other people know that they're not accountable enough to apply the information, right? Because you could have all the knowledge in the world. If you don't apply it, not like knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. If they know they're not going to have time to do it, or they know they're not going to apply it, XYZ, they still call me to help them with it, right? So I can't give away more than God is going to give to me anyway, right? So it really is not, there's no fear in giving knowledge away.
So it becomes a no-brainer. It
It's a no-brainer.
becomes a no-brainer. And I love how you broke that down. And I think that's what a lot of us as confident Christian women coaches are overlooking, that even though you're giving, like when you have a discovery call with someone, because I always give added value, and you know, I'm giving and the person thinks that they're taking from me. I can tell they think that they're taking, but at the end of the day, even though I've given to you, if you don't know how to utilize and strategize what I'm giving you, you're still going to be in the same position. So you're
Correct.
still going to have to make a decision whether you're going to invest in the kingdom, not in yourself. You're investing in the kingdom to put yourself in position and condition to advance God's kingdom in all things business and get a coach. That's what I had to do. I had to start investing in myself. For years, I went and studied with the Small Business Administration. I have certifications through them. And you know, constantly, I'm still studying. 25 years later, 13 years later of coaching, I'm still studying. I'm still learning. Why? Because it's my job. It's my job to make sure that I am advancing God's kingdom. I can't advance God's kingdom if I don't know anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to invest in the kingdom. It's not even investing in yourself. Well, I don't want to do that. It's too much. It's about the kingdom. So if you are willing to advance in the, if you want to advance God's kingdom, you're going to have to invest in the kingdom to get something out the kingdom. That's a spiritual law. If you want to advance it, you have to invest in it. And you are the kingdom of God. We are the kingdom of God. So when we take that mindset, that's just a different way of thinking. That's a different way of thinking right there. It really removes yourself out of the equation. It removes what you want, what you feel, what's going on with you out the equation, and it causes you to focus on the kingdom. So, Coach Kimberly, when you hear that type of thinking and these biblical principles, what's your thought?
So you're exactly right. When you invest in the kingdom, you're really just flourishing the land. So you can't look at it as just I'm investing in me, because if God has called you to serve and to build women up, which is what I do, then you have to continue to invest in yourself, which in turn invests in the kingdom. Because without that, then what is your calling? You're not walking in your calling if you don't continue to build and grow and build yourself up, and in turn bring somebody up, as we said before, sharing and adding value. God didn't call you to get all the knowledge and hold on to it. How is that going to grow the kingdom if I'm just building and trying to build my own empire and not bringing someone else up? That would be a moot point. It would be no need in even investing in yourself if you're not going to share and invest in the kingdom.
That's really, really good. So what you're saying is, when you are people focused and not you focused, that's good right there, Coach Kimberly.
Yes.
I'm people focused.
That's
so
right.
It's all about God's people. It's not you focused. And a lot of times, Coach Morris, what I find is you can hear in someone's conversation, I, all the time. If you're constantly saying where is the kingdom?
It's not there.
It's God's people. I mean, if you're constantly saying, well, I don't have, and okay, let's refocus our focus on the fact that we have an ultimate businessman that gives us strategies. Like Dr. Shirley Clark says, have you prayed to grow richer? Have you even invested the time that it takes to pray to grow richer? Have you invested the time to read and study to show yourself approved?
Approved.
Or are you sitting there just saying, I'm just here ready to die, like the Shunammite woman? And she's literally there in her house with thousands of dollars. And she doesn't even know that she has thousands of dollars in her hand. And she's sitting there saying, I'm getting ready to die. Really? How can you be ready to die and you have thousands of dollars in your hand, but you're so focused on what you don't have that you can't even see what you do have? So I'm just going to welcome Syntt to the show. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? We're so glad that you was able to make it. Go ahead and tell everybody who you are, and you are a new author as well. So we celebrate you on that journey as well. So go ahead and just introduce yourself to everyone here tonight.
Hi, everybody. My name is Centrita, and I am a new author. I joined the anthology Arise and Shine, and it has been going very well. I am also on the board of human trafficking for RACT, so I do that as well. I'm also a liaison to SWAN, which most of you won't know what that is, but we service 44,000 people in 3 different zip codes. And I just recently joined Starbridge to help youth between the ages of 17 to 24. And so that's who I am.
So it sounds like you do a lot of volunteer work. It sounds like you're very people focused, and we need more people like that, because I think that the volunteerism has gone down due to the pandemic, due to people just not wanting to show up. So to hear that you've decided to volunteer in all of these very good causes, that is so commendable. What made you take the volunteer journey?
Well, first of all, we have a lot of youth that are thrown by the wayside, not so much because they don't want to do better, they've lost hope. We have a lot of people, whereas when I was growing up, it took a village to raise us. There's not many villages out here anymore. People have become, like you said, I focused and instead of kingdom focused. And so, being as my story deals a lot with rape and molestation and being homeless and self medicating and things of that nature, I can really relate because a lot of it is environmental issues as well as um, mental blocks, for lack of a better word. So, with that being said, my experience, even though I do have a degree, my experience speaks volumes more so than the book volumes do, because people want to know that you can be transparent and that you can relate to what they're going through. And so that's what I bring to the table for our youth, male and female alike.
So let me ask you this. How would you take that transitional skill and that passion for volunteerism and build a business and brand in 90 days as a confident woman coach?
Okay, so I am in the midst of doing that. So, first of all, it's all about connections and getting your face out there, putting God first. So, I always ask for direction before I step out there. And so, with dealing with God and Him ordering your steps, sometimes things take a little bit longer than what we like. We want microwave right here and now. And God is saying, no, it's my time and it's not about your timing. And we like to say God is right on time. And then when we get in the 12th hour, like, where's God? Well, he's still right there because it's all about his timing, not your timing. So if in 90 days, that's where he wants me to be, then that's where I'll be. I am willing. I have said yes, and I am committed to the cause. And I'm very passionate about it because of the things that happen to me. If I can help youth everywhere, anywhere, if I could just reach one or two, then I have really fulfilled the purpose of servanthood and my assignment is complete. So within 90 days, it may happen, it may not. I'm out here and I'm willing, yet it is his timing.
Absolutely. What would you say to that, Coach Morris?
Thing is in God's timing. Did you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't realize my mic was on. Mic was muted. I do agree that everything is in God's timing. As it regards business, naturally, we utilize different strategies that we feel like God is telling us, like direction God is telling us to go in X, Y, Z. Sometimes the direction is correct. sometimes we are absolutely off target, right? So I've been there too, right? I think I heard God say this and tried it and run into a brick wall and be like, yep, that ain't what God said. It must have been me. You know what I mean? I thought I heard that voice clearly, but apparently it was my own voice, but God never I feel like he just never allows us to go so far left that we never come back to it, right? Because there have been times on this entrepreneurship journey, again, like I said, I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 11 years since I left the field of therapy, and I have completely just wanted to give up. You know what I mean? Just gotten so frustrated in the process, like, God, I thought this is what you wanted me to do, blah, blah, blah. I quit, and God, like, yep, go take your little nap and then come on back because you can't quit it. One thing I realized about passion and purpose, even when you want to leave it, it never leaves you. So you can't give up on it, right? Even when you want to give up, and even when you throw in the towel, God just picks up the towel and throw it back at you and be like, okay, girl, come on. You took a little nap and I get back to it, So sometimes it does happen in 90 days, but ultimately it's still God's plan. So whenever his timing is perfect. It's going to manifest in that thing. You just do what you have to do, take the necessary steps, do whatever you have, follow the strategies, follow the blueprint, all of the things. And ultimately God is going to cause it to manifest in his time. And no matter what, it can't fail because God can't fail, right? It's what he called you to do. It's your purpose. It's what God has ordained for you to do. So it can't fail. You're going to have some learning curves in the process, but it can't fail. So just stay on the journey. If it takes 90 days or 90 years, the children of Israel walked around for countless years when it was supposed to be a couple of days, so keep going.
I love it. All right, Coach Long, what did you have to say about it?
I believe that all things are possible. It's really possible. But again, as the ladies have mentioned, everything works within God's timing. And I found that out the hard way, because sometimes, as one of the ladies said, we want microwave things and it to happen overnight. But if we understand the power of isolation, because sometimes God will isolate you in a purpose and it won't be 90 days. Like the Coach Murray said, it might be 90 years, but at least you will accomplish the purpose and the plan that God has called you to accomplish. And that 90 years might only be one day of the purpose, but you accomplish it. So I just believe in just not rushing things and taking your time, working it out, making sure that you heard the Lord say this, this, and that, so that you don't flop the business and then, or whatever the purpose is for your assignment, and then have to start all over again. That right there is kind of painful and frustrating. But I believe it's possible. But for me, I have to see what the Lord is saying, how he work it out. Whatever he do, I'm fine with it. I'm really fine with it.
You're going to have to unmute yourself. It won't let me unmute you. Can you hear me, Coach Kimberly?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so everything we're saying tonight is just awesome, and I totally agree. And sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves by putting time constraints, but we can't hurry God. And as you ladies said before, God's timing is normally not our timing, and we have to learn to wait on him. Yes, we do set goals, and we can set a 90-day, 60-day, or a 6-month goal. But as long as we're continually to work towards the mark in which God has called us, I think we're exactly where we should be. But you can't get stuck and stagnated. No, thinking, well, I'll just do this and just a little bit. But you have to continue to work and work diligently. And if it's God's timing to work in 90 days, then it will. But as long as you're moving forward, don't worry about timing per se. Yes, put some parameters in place so we won't just say we got all the time in the world, because I know I put a lot of pressure on my own self about when things are not lining up when I think they should line up. But in the end, when you look back hindsight, you go, they lined up exactly the way God wanted them to. So as long as you don't get ahead of God, you'll be fine.
All right. So I appreciate
that in mind. Will work out.
I appreciate everybody's feedback, and my feedback is totally different. Because this is what I do. I build businesses and brands in 90 days, and it is absolutely possible. And I'm going to use the biblical example of Joshua and Caleb. So as you all pointed out, especially Coach Morris, she took us back to the nation of Israel, who was there. They were not supposed to be in that wilderness for 40 years. The original businessman gave them a specific strategy that they did not obey. So the perfect business plan says that you have rejected knowledge. See, when we read that, we're quoting it wrong. It says a lot of people misquote that and say, well, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. That's not what it says. It does not say my people perish because of lack of knowledge. That is a misconception. Go back and read it again. Read it with your finger. Read it out the Amplified. It says my people perish because they reject knowledge. The rejection of knowledge causes you to perish. The rejection of knowledge means you rejected it out of fear. You did not shatter misconceptions. You did not increase confidence, and you will not profit by faith. And when you look further in the perfect business plan, it doesn't say that the people that displease God are the people that are immoral. Read it again. Go back and read it with your finger carefully. It says the fearful and unbelieving are the first two categories. Then he lists the immoral sins. It's the fearful and unbelieving that displease God and will not inherit the kingdom. So when we look at the nation of Israel, why were they in that wilderness? They were in the wilderness because they rejected the knowledge of Joshua and Caleb. Joshua and Caleb had ladders. They went up, over, and said, we can take the land. They came back. They gave the favorable report. But because of the 8 that were fearful and unbelieving, it caused an entire generation of people to go in a circle. And that's what many of you are doing right now that are watching. Oh, it's tight, but it's right. You're in the circle. You're wandering. Well, if it's God's will, well, if it's God's timing. Oh, it sounds good. It sounds religious. We like sounding religious, but sounding religious, looking religious is not going to get you paid. It didn't work for the nation of Israel, and it's not going to work for you and I. What worked for Joshua and Caleb is they overcame fear, shattered misconceptions, increased confidence, and they profited by faith. They went up the ladder, they went over, and they took the land. We are called to take the land in business, and that takes strategy. God gave them the strategy 40 years earlier. He gave them the strategy before they left the nation of Egypt. He gave them wealth. He gave them the funds to start their own businesses. But because they rejected the knowledge, they remained wandering. My question to you is, how long have you been wandering? And what is it costing you right now that you are still wandering? You're sounding religious, you're looking religious, and you're using all the terminology, but you're still wandering. And to be honest, you don't want nobody to unstuck you. You don't want nobody to come and tell you what I'm telling you, that I haven't been sent by you. I get my orders from the ultimate businessman to shake us up and wake us up. The same God of Israel that told Joshua and Caleb, look, you can go and take this land. I am with you. It's the same God telling us now that we can do this because strategies are in place. We're not just going to go and do any and everything. That would be insane. But strategies are in place. Diligence is in place. Commitment is in place. A yes is in place. When you let your yes mean yes and your no mean no, that is the power to unlock what's inside you. You can coach with Coach Morris all day long. You can coach with Coach Doreen Lettsome Reid all day long. But until you give yourself a yes, you are not going nowhere. It's unlock what's inside you. It's you that has the power. The ultimate businessman can't do nothing with you. Why? Because you are a free moral agent. You can reject the knowledge or you can receive the knowledge. And knowledge comes through people. Now, Coach Morris, you've been coaching a long time. What I'm saying, is it not true? It's tight, but is it not true?
Develop a business in 90 days. You can definitely develop a business in 90 days. And again, like you said, in most instances when people don't do it is because they have not followed the blueprint. And in most instances it's as a result of fear, right? A lot of my clients, I do a lot of mindset work, right? Which helps them to overcome like the mindset barriers that they've self-imposed, right? So a lot of my clients are like first generation entrepreneurs. So first of all, they don't think it's possible because they've never seen it before. They're treading on unknown waters and unknown territory. So that's scary for them. So it's a lot of like mindset stuff. And I don't think it's possible for a person that's a business owner, a solo person to make $10,000 a month until they make $10,000 a month, right? But it's a lot of fear built up in that because it's unknown. So anything that when we're treading on unknown waters, it's scary, and a lot of people just kind of succumb to the fear, whether it's just not being motivated, fearful, they've talked to the wrong people and people have discouraged them and all this other type stuff or whatever. So we have a lot of humanness that works in adversity against what God is calling us to do in a lot of instances, right? And then again, as a behavioral health counselor and therapist, I see a lot of people that have unaddressed trauma and unhealed trauma that still hinders them from progressing into being successful in their businesses. So they don't realize like how trauma in their personal lives impede in on their professional development, right? And so all of that is factors into prolonging the process. But if they follow the blueprint, can they develop a business and brand in 90 days and be successful? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Centrita, what would you have to say about that? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, I only volunteer for one board. I get paid to work with the youth, and I also get paid as a liaison to the board for SWAN. So I'm not out here just doing things willy-nilly. And I pray about the things that I do so that my steps are ordered. I am not so much with religion as I am with a relationship with God. So that's basically what I have to say. As far as building a brand, when I first met you, I wasn't talking about doing any of the things that I'm doing. So God has moved me along, and it was His grace and His mercy that brought me this far. So I'm going to say, for me, yes, it is possible. Anything is possible through God to do in 90 days. Yet I pray about everything that I do. And the blueprint that He has laid for me, and He wrote the vision and made it plain, is bringing me back. When you first asked me, am I a coach? I told you no. Was I ever told that I should be a coach? Yes, I was. So my steps are ordered, and I believe that within myself that I hear from God. He talks to me. And so I don't make moves. Even when I wake up in the morning, I don't make a move before telling Him, thank you for waking me up, and then asking Him, what does this look like? Because I have made so many mistakes that has landed me in so many different struggles. Some that I could have avoided, I stepped into myself, and some that was allowed to happen to me because it was my journey. And so at this point in time, I feel like He has me where He needs me. I had stepped away from God because of brokenness, because of hurt, because of being shattered. And so now that He has brought me back in and He's loving on me, I take the time to pray and ask him what he would have me to do. I was never thinking about coaching until you brought it back up. Um, it wasn't something I wanted to do. Yet it's not about what I want to do. It's about my servanthood to him. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And that's a beautiful, beautiful share. I love that you share that with us. And two, make sure that everybody here on Confident One Incubator podcast know that when I'm talking, I'm speaking in general. I'm not singling out one person. I'm just speaking in general because the podcast goes around the world. And this is just some critical thinking that we all need to do if we really want to just begin to overcome some fears. And that's what happened with the nation of Israel. They allowed fear. God gave them the strategy. He gave Moses. They had to trust their coach. Moses was their coach. He was a God sent or highly anointed coach. This man was a governing body for over 40 years to over he had a mixed multitude of people that he was coaching. That's a lot of people to coach. And for a long time, he was doing it by himself until God said, look, I want you to appoint certain other coaches underneath you. So basically he had his own academy where he hired other coaches to help him manage all these people. So when you look at it like that, it's a business model that you and I today are very familiar with, and we can learn from their mistakes, like what Coach Morris was saying, learning from mistakes so that we don't have to make those same mistakes. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that when I'm speaking here on Confident Woman Incubator podcast or in any platform, I'm speaking generically, and I want us to just ask ourselves these critical thinking questions, because a lot of times I have heard it. I've been doing this a long time. I've heard it so many times where people, they really believe that they're sound and genuine, but they don't realize that they're using religious walls as a defense mechanism to keep them going in circles. And that's not what Joshua and Caleb did. They trusted the coach Moses, and they also trusted God. God spoke to Moses, and Moses spoke to them and said, this is what we're going to do. And because of the fear of the other people, it caused them to wander. And sometimes we have to it has happened to me. It took me 20 years to get my education. That's crazy. That should have never happened. But because of my fear of math, I just had so much fear. Like Coach Morris said, the inner issues that I had to deal with within myself. I had to unlock I had to do a lot of unlocking before I made the decision that, okay, this time when I go back to school, I'm going to finish. It was things within myself I had to work out. So the stuff that I coach on, I've walked it out. So I know what I'm talking about, because you have to first be able to lead yourself before you can lead others. That's what John C. Maxwell teaches all day long. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. So I kind of wanted to qualify that, but I do appreciate Syntt giving that beautiful share. At the end of the day, we do have to hear from God. We do have to receive his direction. But also, we have to remain in the middle of the road. We can't go too far to the left and too far to the right and use things that sound religious to keep us in fear. I'm sure when you read that chapter, they sounded very religious. Well, we're like grasshoppers, and they're like giant. Oh, it was a good talk. It was a good game, but it was nonsense. Why? Because God already gave Moses the strategy. Moses gave the people the strategy, and all they had to do was follow the blueprint. And so I'm going to let Coach Kimberly and the few other ladies close us out here on Confident Woman Incubator podcast. This has been a really, really good discussion. Coach Kimberly, what would you have to say?
Well, you're exactly right. Fear is one of the biggest things that can paralyze us. And we do sometimes hide behind scripture and our faith to make it seem like we are busy and we're moving and we're really stuck. And we have to be real and honest with ourselves and have a really good talk with Jesus so we can move forward. Because again, if you rely on self, you will stay stuck. You have to walk in faith And you can't have faith and fear in the same sentence or in the same journey. I mean, we're human, so there's sometimes fear will seep in, but you can't let it overtake you. You have to rely on the word and what God has called you to do and continue to move forward. I say, if you want to move fear, move in fear. Don't stand still in fear. Move, do it afraid, and God will do the rest.
That is so beautiful. And we have a testament to that, Coach Kimberly, because Joshua, when Moses died, God allowed Joshua to grieve. There was a moment that he allowed him to sit, but then he was like, okay, we got to go. Get up. It's time to go. And so he said, be strong and be of very good courage. I'm with you. He told him that several times because God had to deal with even Joshua after he had done all those amazing things. As you said, when you are in a very vulnerable state in your life, he was in a very vulnerable state. He had never been without Moses. All he knew was Moses. From a very young man to a very old man, all he knew was his coach. And so now he's taken over the mantle of coaching these millions of people. So God had to encourage him. And so we see that. We see exactly what you're saying, even in Joshua's life. This is so, so good. Coach Long, what would you have to say? Oh, I'm having such a good time. This is so, so good. When you break it apart and look at all the examples that we have, because like you just said, we are human, and we even see that in Joshua. After all those great things he did, God had to say, okay, grief is over. It's time to move on. I'm with you. That is so, so good. Coach Long?
Print that you have set for this particular topic with Joshua and Moses and Caleb, because it's just awesome. If you look into the story, as you said, they were given the blueprint. They had a coach. They had someone to lead them. They, had instructions. So all they had to do was move in the instructions. But for me, I believe that it's possible to build a business and a brand in 90 days. But what I also know is that I have to stop procrastinating. And I also know that I need a coach to coach me, because I've had several coaches, paid coaches, but I never got what I wanted from them in order to be able to build my business and my brand. And then it's the mindset, because at first I was tossed. Is it the parenting empowerment relationship coach, or is it the empowerment of women to take their personal power back? Because I've been in both situations. So it had me stuck for a minute, like, Lord, which one should I do? Because you called me to do both, but I don't want to do both. But which is the one that you called me to do that I'm good at? That's going to unlock what's inside of me that I'm good at, and I can really be comfortable with, and it be my passion. Because passion does come from the Lord. He places those seeds inside of us. And I geared toward the parenting part because I had a lot of skin in the game. I had a lot of experience with my 3 children. I have a 47-year-old, a 43, and a 38. So I had a lot of experience on the good side and the traumatic side. So I was contemplating this morning, as I have been a couple of days. And I was like, Lord, I understand the parenting empowerment relationship code, because sometimes, certain people don't understand how to raise their children in the admonition of the Lord, and the children go left. The generation is lost. So, I understand that part. But what I'm feeling is to empower women to take their personal power back, because that's what I had lost at one time. So I believe that it is possible, but I do know that you need a coach to coach you. Like the children of Israel needed Joshua, Caleb, and Moses. One coach can take you this far. Another coach, you have to keep, like you said, keep learning. You're going to have to keep investing. Different coaches can take you to different levels, but I believe it's possible.
This has been so good, ladies. Did y'all enjoy yourself?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
This is I've learned so much here in Confident Woman Incubator podcast. You ladies are amazing. The conversation was amazing. And I love having conversations that cause critical thinking. That's part of what I do as a coach. Just those critical thinking, to get asking powerful questions. I ask a lot of hard questions. That's just my style of coaching. I ask very direct and hard questions because that's where the unlocking comes. If you don't never ask yourself these hard, powerful questions, you're just going to stay there. But we know from the perfect business plan, it says you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. And in order for us to get to the truth and the root of really what's going on in our lives, like I had to do all those years ago, I had to make a decision. I can't stay like this. It's been 20 years. I was stuck. See, I can coach this because I lived it. This is not something somebody told me. I lived this, and I had to lead myself out of it. See, a good leader always can lead themselves. You have to be able to lead yourself first. John C. Maxwell says that all the time. And that's what happened with Joshua. He had to make a decision that I can't stay here. I'm going to go and follow these directions that God has given me. What would have happened if he said no? What would have happened? Just think about this as we close. What if he rejected God's knowledge? What if he said, no, I'm not getting up? What if he waited and sat on that mountain another 40 years? What would have happened? This is Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. My name is Coach Doreen Lettsome. We'll see you next week. And you know what to do. Go ahead and drop it in the comments. #the Confident Woman. We'll see you next week.